So the first movement that we're going to be doing is going to be cervical flexion. We have our subject sitting in the chair with back support. The back support is necessary so that there's no movement in the thoracic and the lumbar spine, so that everything is stabilized. Or before we actually run the measurement, we're going to go ahead and have her test the movement to see if range of motion is okay there. So go ahead and touch your chin to your chest. Good. And here we know that the end feel is either capsular or ligamentous. Now for the actual alignment with the goniometer, we're going to begin at 90 degrees. The fulcrum is going to be sitting just outside the ear on the external auditory meatus. The stationary arm is going upright with the head, and then the movement arm is going to be aligned with the nostrils. So if you go from here, you just line it up. Okay, right about there. Go ahead and move your head down, chin to your chest. Ooh. Okay. Right about there. All right. So now if we look at the alignment, so we did start at 90 degrees, which is right about here, and we ended at about 151. So that's right around 59 degrees, 60 degrees. The normal range of motion for this movement is about 60 degrees, so we're right on point there. Okay, so for the next movement, we're going to be looking at elbow flexion. Now, the subject is going to start in a supinated position, and in addition, the arm is also going to have to be supinated, so we're going to turn it up with the palm facing up and fully extended. Now, before we actually do the measurement, once again, we're going to go through the range of motion to see if there's any changes in quality of movement. So I'm going to have you go ahead and flex your elbow, bringing your palm right over your shoulder. Great. Okay. And so when we're in the actual flexed position, the end feel is capsular. All right, go ahead and put it back. Now for the actual measurement, the goniometer, we're going to start at 180. So it's going to be pretty flat. The fulcrum is going to go to the lateral epicondyle of the elbow. So right here. The stationary arm, so we should actually put it this way. The stationary arm is going to be aligned with the center of the acromion process on the humerus, and the movement arm is going to align with the styloid process on the wrist. So as soon as we align this really quick, there we go, run that a little higher. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and flex your arm. Oh, can we go back really quick? Just want to move it away a little. Right. There. All right, go ahead, flex. And then lining it up with the styloid process on the wrist. Line that up a little bit. Okay, and there we go. So as we can see the measurement here, we start at 180 right here, and the angle measures out to about 35 degrees there. So that's about 145 degrees of range of motion. The normal range for this movement is about 141 degrees. So this is just slightly over. Okay. Okay, so the next movement we're going to work on is knee flexion. We're going to have the subject lay flat in supine position. An important thing here is that we have to make sure that she is fully relaxed, because there's going to be hip flexion going on as well, which affects the knee flexion. So as soon as she's fully relaxed, we're going to have her try to bring her knee to her chest without pulling too much, without pulling on it to make it go further. So go ahead and lift your knee. Flex your knee to your chest. Great, right there. Nice. Okay, so we're doing this once again to test range of motion before actually doing it and see the quality of movement. In this position, the end feel is going to be soft tissue approximation. So what we have here is basically muscle or fat is rubbing against each other, so there's no more room for the joint to flex. So maybe like the calf here is on the back of the thigh, and there's no more room. You can go ahead and rest your leg now. The actual goniometer, the fulcrum is going to be placed right over the lateral epicondyle of the knee, right here. So if we can, 1 second, right about there. The stationary arm is going to align with the greater trochanter just below the hip. And then the movement arm is going to align with the lateral malleolus of the leg, of the foot right here. So go ahead and do the flexion, and then we'll align it. And we're going to start at 180, because if you think about it this way, if the leg is fully extended, like you were walking or standing, the flexion actually occurs when you go down this way. So that's why we start at 180. So, all right, so the lateral epicondyle of the knee, right about there, that's the fulcrum. The stationary arm is going to align with the greater trochanter, which is right about there. Okay. And then the movement arm, it's a little difficult. The movement arm is going to align with the lateral malleolus. So just about there. Okay. All right, great. So now we can see here, since we are starting at 180, the angle does end here at about 38. So that's about 142 degrees of movement for her knee flexion. The normal range is about 141 degrees plus or minus 5 degrees. Sorry. So the last movement that we're going to be looking at is going to be trunk rotation. So our subject is sitting upright in a chair, and it's necessary to sit because we don't want any movement in the pelvis. The pelvis has to be stabilized in this rotation. Additionally, we want to look out for any kind of forward bending, backward bending, or lateral bending when she does the rotation. We want to make sure that it's all stationary and stays tight. We're actually going to have her demonstrate the movements to see range of motion and to see the quality of movement. So go ahead and do it really quick. You're going to rotate, but keep everything aligned. And then the end feel for this movement is either capsular or ligamentous. You can go ahead and relax. I'm going to reset the camera so that we have a top-down view to see what actually is aligning. But before that, the goniometer itself, so the fulcrum, is going to rest on the superior aspect of the head, right about there. The stationary arm is going to align with the aces of the hips, so the outside top of the hip on both sides, but only after the rotation is completed. And the movement arm is going to line up with the center of the acromion process on the humerus. So I'll go ahead and set the camera up to get the other view, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I just changed the angle so we can get a better view from the top down to see the actual rotation of the trunk. Like I was saying, for the fulcrum, it's going to be sitting over the superior aspect of the head once the movement starts. The stationary arm is going to be aligned with the aces of the hips on either side, so it has to be lined up. And then the movement arm is going to be lined up with the acromion process, the center of the acromion process on the humerus, right about here. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and rotate as far as you can without over-rotating. Great. So we don't have any forward or backward bending here, and there's no side bending. It's just a full frontal rotation. So now we can do the alignment. So superior aspect of the head, right about there. The stationary arm is going to be aligned with the aces of the hip. Let me see if I can get an angle like this. Right about there, okay. And then the movement arm is going to align with the, with the acromion process here. One moment. Right about there. I don't know if you can really see it there. There we go. Just about like that. Okay, great. Ooh, sorry. Okay. Great, you can relax now. And then we see that the angle, the measure of the angle, we do start at the 0 mark. So the angle goes just to about 40, it's about 47 degrees there. And the normal range of motion for this movement is about 45 degrees. And that's my cat. Hi.